I am continuing my reading. What I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am reading in a chronological order of events, not according to publication or volume, so I will be skipping around a bit as I move along. Daniel chapter 2. Another famous story here, but it's a very long chapter, a little over 3 pages. So let us see what we got here. Nebuchadnezzar's dream is revealed to Daniel. The king saw a great image. A stone cut from the mountain without hands destroyed the image. And the stone grew and filled the whole earth. The stone is the latter-day kingdom of God. And in the 2nd year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar, Nebuchadnezzar dreamed dreams, wherewith his spirit was troubled, and his sleep brake from him. Then the king commanded to call the magicians, and the astrologers, and the sorcerers, and the Chaldeans, for to shew the king his dreams. So they came and stood before the king. And the king said unto them, I have dreamed a dream, and my spirit was troubled to know the dream. Then spake the Chaldeans to the king in Syriac, O king, live forever, tell thy servants the dream, and we will shew the interpretation. The king answered and said to the Chaldeans, The thing is gone from me. If ye will not make known unto me the dream with the interpretation thereof, ye shall be cut in pieces, and your houses shall be made a dunghill. But if ye shew the dream and the interpretation thereof, ye shall receive of me gifts and rewards and great honor. Therefore shew me the dream and the interpretation thereof. They answered again and said, Let the king tell his servants the dream, and we will shew the interpretation of it. And the king answered and said, I know of certainty that ye would gain the time, because ye see the thing is gone from me. But if ye will not make known unto me the dream, there is but one decree for you, for ye have prepared lying and corrupt words to speak before me, till the time be changed. Therefore tell me the dream, and I shall know that ye can shew me the interpretation thereof. A couple of things in the footnotes here to note. First of all, Syriac, that is the Aramaic language. So this isn't the town that they didn't talk to him in the town of Syria. This is the language that they're speaking. And it is a Hebraic type language. It is a relative of the Hebrew language. Now in verse 5 where he says, the thing is gone from me, we have to remember that Daniel, parts of it, good parts of it, are written in the Aramaic language. They're not written in Hebrew. And so instead of an alternate Hebrew translation, we're given an alternate Persian or Aramaic translation. And it says, sure with me. In other words, Nebuchadnezzar knew his dream. He didn't forget it. But he's telling them, I'm not going to tell you the dream. Because if you can't tell me the dream, then how do I trust that you know what the dream means? He's testing him, saying, look, if you can really interpret, if you really know the meaning of this dream, you should also know what the dream is. And so he's testing him. And then, of course, in verse 9, till the time be changed. He's saying they're trying to buy time until something changes. So if he tells them the dream, they can use the time to come up with something to appease the king rather than giving a true answer. But I also want to point out, this says it's in the 2nd year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar. And Daniel is taken captive in the 1st year of Nebuchadnezzar. He was 3 years in training in the 1st chapter. They did 3 years, and that's when he was tested and found to be most wise of all the people. But this is in the 2nd year. So it was in the 3rd year that he was tested. In other words, this dream, he is interpreting this dream while he is still a student being trained. He has not yet, in a sense, graduated. He has not yet been tested by Nebuchadnezzar along with the rest of them to prove his wisdom. This is taking place before that, while he is still in training. Let us continue, verse 10. The Chaldeans answered before the king and said, There is not a man upon the earth that can shew the king's matter. Therefore there is no king, lord, nor ruler that asks such things at any magician, or astrologer, or Chaldean. And it is a rare thing that the king requireth, and there is none other that can shew it before the king, except the gods, whose dwelling is not with flesh. For this cause the king was angry and very furious, and commanded to destroy all the wise men of Babylon. And the decree went forth that the wise men should be slain, and they sought Daniel and his fellows to be slain. So here we have, the wise men, nobody's ever asked this is impossible. And so the king said, well, we're going to kill all the wise men. This includes Daniel and his three companions, his three fellows, as it says. They're in the house, they're being trained by the wise men. And Nebuchadnezzar has just decreed the death of all of them. So Daniel is only made aware of this, since he's still in school. He's only made aware of this because of this decree of the king. Verse 14. Then Daniel answered with counsel and wisdom to Arioch, the captain of the king's guard, which was gone forth to slay the wise men of Babylon. He answered and said to Arioch, the king's captain, Why is the decree so hasty from the king? Then Arioch made the thing known to Daniel. Then Daniel went in and desired of the king that he would give him time, and that he would shew the king the interpretation. Then Daniel went to his house and made the thing known to Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah his companions, that they would desire mercies of the God of heaven concerning the secret, that Daniel and his fellows should not perish with the rest of the wise men of Babylon. So the captain comes in to kill everybody. And Daniel says, wait a minute, why are we killing everybody? He tells them what's going on. So he goes to the king and says, give us a little time, and we'll tell you. And they go home and they all pray together. They have a nice prayer circle. Now we get the long-winded dream and everything. This is verse 19. Then was the secret revealed unto Daniel in the night vision. Then Daniel blessed the God of heaven. Daniel answered and said, Blessed be the name of God forever and ever, for wisdom and might are his. And he changeth the times and the seasons. He removeth kings, and setteth up kings. He giveth wisdom unto the wise, and knowledge to them that know understanding. He revealeth the deep and secret things. He knoweth what is in the darkness, and the light dwelleth with him. I thank thee and praise thee, O thou God of my fathers, who hast given me wisdom and might, and hast made known unto me now what we desired of thee, for thou hast now made known unto us the king's matter. Therefore Daniel went in unto Arioch, whom the king had ordained to destroy the wise men of Babylon. He went and said thus unto him, Destroy not the wise men of Babylon. Bring me in before the king, and I will shew unto the king the interpretation. Then Arioch brought in Daniel before the king in haste, and said thus unto him, I have found a man of the captains of Judah that will make known unto the king the interpretation. And the king answered and said to Daniel, whose name was Belteshazzar, Art thou able to make known unto me the dream which I have seen, and the interpretation thereof? Daniel answered in the presence of the king, and said, The secret which the king hath demanded, cannot the wise men, the astrologers, the magicians, the soothsayers shew unto the king? But there is a God in heaven that revealeth secrets, and maketh known to the king Nebuchadnezzar what shall be in the latter days. Thy dream and the visions of thy head upon thy bed are these. As for thee, O king, thy thoughts came into thy mind upon thy bed, what should come to pass hereafter. And he that revealeth secrets maketh known to thee what shall come to pass. But as for me, the secret is not revealed to me for any wisdom that I have more than any living, but for their sakes that shall make known the interpretation to the king, and that thou mightest know the thoughts of thy heart. As is true with most people who interpret dreams, honestly, he's giving the credit to God. God is the one that gives the dream. He's the one that gives the interpretation. It's not me. It's not my wisdom. It's God revealing it. But I also like this, that it says, Thy thoughts came into thy mind upon thy bed. In other words, basically, this dream was an answer to Nebuchadnezzar's prayer. Now, he wasn't kneeling and praying vocally to God, but he was actively thinking. He was wondering, what will happen to my kingdom? He's gone out, he has conquered all this land, he has set up his empire, and he is thinking, he is wondering, what is going to happen to my kingdom? And in answer, God gave him this dream. Verse 31. Thou, O king, sawest, and behold, a great image. This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee, and the form thereof was terrible. This image's head was of fine gold, his breast and his arms of silver, his belly and his thighs of brass, his legs of iron, his feet part of iron and part of clay. Thou sawest till that a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet, that were of iron and clay, and brake them to pieces. Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken to pieces together, and became like the chaff of the summer threshing floors. And the wind carried them away, that no place was found for them. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain, and filled the whole earth. This is the dream, and we will tell the interpretation thereof before the king. Thou, O king, art a king of kings, for the God of heaven hath given thee a kingdom, power, and strength, and glory. And wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field, and the fowls of the heaven, hath he given into thine hand. and hath made thee ruler over them all. Thou art this head of gold. And after thee shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee, and another third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over all the earth. And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces, and it subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these shall it break in pieces and bruise. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided. But there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed. And the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. For as much as thou sawest that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it brake in pieces the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, and the gold, the great God hath made known to the king what shall come to pass hereafter, and the dream is certain, and the interpretation thereof sure. Then the king Nebuchadnezzar fell upon his face and worshipped Daniel, and commanded that they should offer an oblation and sweet odors unto him. The king answered unto Daniel and said, Of a truth it is, that your God is a God of gods, and a Lord of kings, and a revealer of secrets, seeing thou couldst reveal this secret. Then the king made Daniel a great man, and gave him many great gifts, and made him ruler over the whole province of Babylon, and chief of the governors over all the wise men of Babylon. Then Daniel requested of the king, and he set Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego over the affairs of the province of Babylon, but Daniel sat in the gate of the king. Brief rundown of this dream here. We got, of course, the gold is Babylon, the silver is the Persian Empire, or the Persian Media Empire, because there was, at least in the beginning, a kind of, the two kingdoms joined together under Cyrus, but they were still kind of two kingdoms. And so we have the chest and the arms of the two kingdoms. We then have the brass is Greece under Alexander the Great coming in. We then have the iron is Rome. And then the feet of iron and clay is the fractured nations of Europe. And it is in the time of these fractured nations that the stone is cut out. Therefore, most Christians will say that the stone represents the church set up by Christ, but that church was set up during the time of Rome's power. It was set up during the time of the legs of iron, not in the time of the divided kingdoms of the feet. This is how we know that the stone is not that church, because the timing is not right. This is a fairly well-known dream, fairly well-known story, but there's a couple of things here. I do like, they worship he says he worshipped Daniel. We get no indication that Daniel told him not to, but we're pretty certain he did. But he calls him a God of gods and Lord of kings. That's what Nebuchadnezzar calls God. So he understands that God is real, but he still doesn't reject his own gods. He thinks God is just one of many, but he understands that God is, at this point, saying God is one of the greatest. Not the greatest, but one of the greatest. And he is made ruler over the province of Babylon, because there are many provinces. Even the Empire of Babylon had many provinces, but Daniel said, well, why don't you make my three friends the magistrates over Babylon? And they agree, and Daniel remains in the king's court. So he is the advisor to the king, while Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego oversee the affairs of the province of Babylon. We will leave that one here, and it'll be a little bit before I return to Daniel. Right now we're going to turn back to Jeremiah, so we will see you there.